There we go. A little technical difficulty. All right. So it looks like I'm recording. I'll give you got a little recording action going on right here. There's a little bit of a delay. I think I hacked the way to be able to record some of these lives. So basically signed up with a mystery Instagram account. And then after I did that, quick time recording the screen onto my Mac. So, all right. So, Road to Wellville, hey. Barrels of Mash, what's up? Bourbon Brother, what's up? Mario G, what's up? Damn, we got a bunch of people here joining today. I'm super excited. Yeah, you wish I could do a backflip. All right. So, first things first, I have no idea what you guys want to see in cocktails every week. I just know that everyone wants to see a cocktail every week, and so I'm going to do a cocktail every week. I'm going to do my best to try to get these recorded. If I'm successful with this, then I'll let everybody know. I'll post it up to YouTube, and I'll put a link in my Instagram profile so you can get right there and you can see it and go back and watch it. Hopefully it's so that you guys can rewatch it to see some of the ingredients and then also listen to some of the techniques so you can execute it at home. That's the goal. But I just want to say thank you for all of you that like to watch this for whatever reason. And if you want to send me instant message or comment on the post that I did about going live today with some cocktails that you would like to see, I will definitely start building a list, and then I can start executing those cocktails for you. I also have my own secret book of cocktails. These are cocktails that I've accumulated over the years from a few things. One, they're classic cocktails that I've sort of tweaked until I got them just right to my taste and to quite a few people's tastes because everyone seems to enjoy cocktails I make out of my book. Two, they're cocktail recipes that I've actually been able to get from world-class bartenders. So I used to travel a lot for work, and I would sit at these bars and be a really creepy dude with my journal and ask them a million questions and take notes. And a lot of them would actually share recipes with me. And so I got some pretty cool recipes from some awesome people out at certain bars across the United States. And lastly, my super secret cocktails are some that I've actually come up with on my own. So they're my own recipes that I have sort of come up with based on sort of my taste preferences and other people's taste preferences that are out there as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and mount you up on my tripod, and then we're going to start making some cocktails. And tonight we're doing the Strange Brew. And I'm going to mount you guys so everything's not backwards. So hopefully that will work. All right, here we go. All right, so a little bit of the method to the madness. When it comes to cocktails, probably the coolest thing about cocktails is that everyone loves to share cocktail recipes. Your favorite bars, your favorite bartenders, everyone. And a cool little question that you can ask your bartender if you go to like a craft cocktail bar. Do this when they're slow. So you go there when it's early and there's not a ton of people there. Sit at the bar, order a drink, but ask them, hey, do you have any competitions coming up, or are you working on anything new? And oftentimes, if you ask that question, they start to recognize that you're interested in cocktails. And so that passion comes across, and then they are more than willing to open up and start talking to you about some of the cool cocktail creations that they're working on, or even some upcoming contests that are coming up. And then if it's a contest that's public, sometimes it's really fun to go to these and see, everyone that's just doing their craft. So when it comes to cocktails, because everyone shares it, there's tons and tons of books out there on how to do cocktails. So I thought tonight I would share with you, before we start making the drink, 2 books that really inspired me to just immerse myself more in cocktails. And so the first one is called The Bar Book. So this is by Jeffrey Morgenthaler, And this book right here, the reason that I like it so much is because it sort of is the nuts and bolts of craft cocktail. Meaning that this book really takes you through step by step on all the fundamentals of why using fresh citrus is important, what tools you should use and get and acquire, what they're used for. And so by reading this book, you'll really be able to understand sort of how to get started and start building up your own kind of toolkit and your own home bar to make the cocktails that you like. And there's tons of recipes in here too to be able to do that. And then the second book that I absolutely love is Death & Co. They actually released a book, I want to say a year and a half ago or so, that basically talks about their story as a bar, how they came to be, but it's absolutely loaded with cocktail recipes. And when I say loaded with cocktail recipes that are far from the classics. There are huge innovations on the classics and also some brand new stuff that they've concocted. And so those two books, the Bar Book and Death & Co., just amazing books for you to go get started. And I would read them in that order. I would start with the Bar Book, and then I would go and I'd get Death & Co. book. And I've been fortunate enough to be at both those bars. So Jeffrey Morgenthaler in Portland, Oregon, he has two bars right now. He has Clyde Common, which is in kind of the bottom of the Ace Hotel. And then he has Pepe La Moco, which is down in the basement. And they're basically, Pepe La Moco is like right underneath Clyde Common. Very, very cool bars. Pepe La Moco tends to specialize more in revamping the gross cocktails from the 70s. So in the 70s, everyone decided that they wanted to use artificial sweeteners and cheap. And so kind of think of it as what you could get at a bowling alley today. Very chemically, very sweet tasting cocktails. He tends to like to get those and then revamp them and just make them taste amazing. So fun spot to be. And then Death & Co., just an amazing bar in New York. Super tiny, kind of a weird spot, but just really cool atmosphere. And those guys go all out when it comes to their tinctures and making their own bitters. It's just amazing stuff. So the Bar Book and then Death & Co. book, two great books. All right, enough about that. I am going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start building the Strange Brew. So the reason that I picked this drink is because, one, I like gin-based cocktails. And I think it's a nice change from everybody out there to kind of switch once in a while and move off of bourbon and go into something else. Rum's an easy one for me because I love rum, and rum's an easy one to get a nice switch over from bourbon to rum. But gin is one of those things where people are like, I don't know about gin. Like they usually really hate on vodka, and then second they start to hate on gin. And gin is just an amazing spirit. The botanical flavors that come in there. There's some gins out there that are very citrus forward. There's some gins out there that are very sort of like, they have a lot more anise kind of a taste to them. And so they're also a very fun spirit to be able to taste and get the nuances from it. But what's unique about this one is it kind of has a tiki flair to it, and I love tiki drinks. But most surprisingly is it also has beer in it. Specifically an IPA, which is a very bitter beer. And so I think it's kind of fun. When I was reading this cocktail recipe a long time ago, I looked at it and I'm like, there's no way. How are you going to make a cocktail with gin, falernum, beer, lemon, and pineapple juice? And this is going to taste good. But it is fantastic. It's delicious. All right, so I'm going to get started. Let's build this. So this calls for 2 ounces of gin, 3/4 ounce of Velvet Falernum, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, and then top it with the IPA beer. And so, as always, I'm going to start with my juice first, so my citrus first. I'm going to get my 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. And I do this because if I mess up my measurement with my juice, then I'm not dumping out my booze. Next, I'm going to put in my pineapple juice. I like to use canned pineapple juice. I used to fresh squeeze pineapple, but it's a big process to be able to do that. And this quite actually tastes just the same, if not better. And if you buy the little 6-pack of cans, they keep forever. So you can only use one little can at a time and not have to worry about it. All right, so now let's get into adding the booze. So I have my lime and my pineapple. I'm going to start with the gin. So this is Tangueray. This gin is not a very dry gin. It's actually more botanical forward in gin. It's just a very good, well-rounded, smooth gin. There's not a lot of rough edges in this one. I really like it. The other green one that you probably see on the shelf is Rangpur. Rangpur gin is very similar, except for it's more lime forward. So it has less of the botanical taste and has more of a lime forward taste to it. All right, now we're going to add the falernum. This calls for 3/4 ounce of falernum. And falernum is one of those ones where this stuff is addicting. It's very syrupy. It's very sweet. Man, there's so much going on with falernum. And now that we've had the gin, the falernum, we've added the pineapple juice, the lemon juice, what we're going to do with this one is we're going to short shake it. So you'll notice that I already have a glass filled with crushed ice. And so a short shake in the cocktail world is basically just adding a little bit of ice. So usually when you're doing your cocktail and you're going to shake it, you would fill your shaker all the way to the top with ice, and then you would shake it vigorously. This one, we're just going to add a few pieces of ice. So I'm adding 5 or 6 pieces of ice. And the whole point of a short shake is that you want to basically just sort of waken up the spirits and the citrus juice, mingle them together, chill them a little bit, but most of the dilution that you want to take place is going to happen in the glass, not when you shake it. So a nice short shake. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to strain right over our glass. So I'm using sort of a fancy pint glass for this one. And then we'll get that strained in there. And one thing about pineapple juice is if you shake it long enough and really hard, pineapple juice tends to froth up. And so you can get a nice little froth on the top of your glass. And then last, we're going to go ahead and add the beer. So this recipe calls with, it says top with beer. It actually specifically calls for Green Flash, which is a West Coast IPA. And this beer is so good. It has a very nice bitter taste to it that you would expect from an IPA. But man, look at that color separation. I love it. And then you'll see it go down there. Go ahead and put a straw in here. And then last, the garnish calls for a mint sprig. Now, when you're working with mint, some people tend to not use enough mint. So if you're going to put a garnish of mint in there, get yourself a nice big piece of mint, and then give it a nice slap to kind of waken up that aroma, and then go ahead and then put that in your glass. This particular cocktail, or any cocktail that calls for a mint garnish, that mint garnish is actually incredibly important because, as you know, you taste a lot with smell. And so there's a lot of nuance that you're going to get out of this cocktail just from smelling that mint before you take a sip. All right, let's give it a taste. Oh, it's so good. There's a sweetness to it, a sour to it, a bitter. Basically, you're getting your sweetness from the falernum and the pineapple juice. You're getting your spirit, of course. That taste is coming from your gin. And then the bitterness is going to come from the beer. And then the sour comes from the lemon. And when you're building cocktails, anytime that you can kind of find that balance between sweet, sour, and bitter, it makes it so good. It's such a great drink. All right, I'm going to grab the phone. I'm going to ask questions if you have any questions. All right, here we go. All right, nice, quick and easy cocktail. And there's a lot of comments going on in here. All right. I liked how I slapped that mint. If you don't slap the mint, you don't get the smell. You don't get the aroma that you get. All right. Where can you get falernum? So falernum, You can find it online. If you're not a state that allows you to ship or get Falernum shipped to you, let me know. I'll help you out, Bourbon Brother. But those, Falernum is fairly common. It's in the liqueur section of a liquor store. It's called Velvet Falernum. And if you do a search for that, it should pop it up, and it's extremely inexpensive. What other kinds of beer have I tried with this? I've tried a Pilsner to see what that did, and it worked okay. It just didn't have enough of that bitterness to kind of round out the edges of this drink. I've tried other IPAs, and they've all worked really well. There's something about that Green Flash. There's a lot of bitterness in that Green Flash, and it really comes through. Any other questions out there? You're welcome, man. This is also a cocktail. When you make it, you get to drink the cocktail, and then you get to finish the beer. Shot of Falernum bottle, you got it. So that's what it looks like. I'm almost out. I got to back up on the shelf. I always have this in stock. I have even gone to the extent of making my own Falernum before, using a vodka and then infusing it with all the herbs and stuff that you need to put in Falernum. But I'll tell you this, it's not worth the effort. Just buy the bottle. It's my favorite cocktail, the daiquiri. Hands down, I love a good daiquiri. Daiquiri is a very simple cocktail. It's rum, lime, and simple syrup. And by using different rums together, or just a different rum every time, a different ratio of lime to simple syrup, it's just such a delicate cocktail. It's so good. Velvet Falernum is made of, man, I knew someone's going to put me on the spot. I'd have to get back to you on that. It's only 11% alcohol by volume, so it's a liqueur, but it's infused with a bunch of different kind of spices. Man, I feel like I'm letting you down by not telling you what's in the Falernum. It's really good. It's really sweet. Fletcher Whiskey Dog, I'm in, man. You let me know anytime. We'll do a cocktail. You want to make some cocktails at the next Whiskey Catfish? We could do it. I need more trophies in the background. Death & Co. is very close to PDT. Have you been there, or have you seen the cocktail book? Yes. I have the PDT cocktail book. It's also a fantastic cocktail book. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. I feel like the Death & Co. book is a little bit more approachable in the way that they do it. I have been to PDT. So for those of you that don't know what PDT is, it's Please Don't Tell. It's in New York. You actually go down into a hot dog restaurant, and then they have a phone booth on the wall, and then you go through the phone booth to get into PDT. And it's usually a crazy long wait to get in there. I think the last time I went there, they told me it was going to be 3 hours before we could get a seat. And so we went to dinner and then came back, and then we went through the phone booth, and then there's a tiny little bar in there, and they sit you down and they do some amazing cocktails in there. You're not supposed to tell. You're right. Venturing style, you're not supposed to tell. That's the whole point. It's supposed to be a secret spot. Kentucky Firewater, I've been to a bunch of bars, man. When you're traveling and you're by yourself, and you have a passion for making cocktails, it's about all you have to do. I'm getting out of the loop though, man. I don't travel anymore, so I have to do everything at home. All right. So I'll give you guys one last shot. So there you have it. Strange brew. Gin, Falernum. Topped with a little IPA with some pineapple juice and a little bit of lemon. Nice mint bouquet on top. Get you a great, great drink. Best cocktail city. Whoa. Portland has a great cocktail scene going on, but I would probably say, I mean, nothing beats San Francisco and New York. I mean, they're on top of it. New Orleans has a great cocktail program going on. Chicago has a great cocktail program going on and cocktail scene going on. I mean, I mean, pretty much anywhere you live, you're going to be able to find someone that has something going on from a cocktail standpoint. It's phenomenal. All right, guys. Once again, I thank you very much for joining. Thanks for watching me make a cocktail. And I think this is going to be a successful recording, so I might be able to get this posted up. So I'll see you next week. It's either going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how my schedule goes. And send me a private message if there's any specific cocktails that you want to see me made. Cheers.